Good morning. Wow, sometimes you listen to yourself being introduced and you wonder, is that me? Well, I guess that it is. So I need this clicker and I need my Kindle. So if I'm pacing up and about, please forgive me. But I want to thank the Women in Tech team so much for inviting me to the 4th Women in Tech Forum, whose theme is Impact the Future, a topic that's very close to my heart. I am stoked at the generosity, the kindness, and the support I have received so far. And to be honest, I still need to know how you found me. It's an honor and a great pleasure to stand here today, because before 2014, I would never have imagined myself standing in front of an audience of more than 1,000 people giving a keynote address. I considered myself a backstage kind of girl. A notion possibly arising from the fact that I'm the obscure one nestled by the looming shadows of elder siblings and coddled by experienced parents. In other words, I'm a last born. Well, just like technology, life happened, and it happened first. And here I am. So thank you. Thank you, peer and peer. And thank you to the entire WHEAT team for ensuring that I made it here. Thank you all for filling up 1,200 spots within 12 minutes. That is commendable. And a very special thank you to my 2 friends in the audience, Zainab and Evans. Somewhere, Zainab is here, Evans must be somewhere, who freed up their morning to be here with me, and my family and friends who are also listening online. I did rile up a lot of people. So thank you all. So I'll start my presentation or my speech by giving you a different story about where I come from. So for many decades, Africa has been described as the hopeless continent, the dark continent. My home is portrayed with evils such as drought and sickness and disease, civil war and unrest, hunger, floods, and the greatest of them all, corruption. Be as it may, these are accurate, and some would ask, is there anything good that can come from Africa? Well, I'm standing right here. That should count for something. Allow me to give a different narrative from my beautiful country, Kenya. This is Nairobi at dusk. How many of us have been to Kenya? Oh, wow. Well, okay, so I cannot lie. All right. So this is Nairobi at dusk. We dream in lights back at home. We do dream in lights. Nairobi is a capital city and the largest city in Kenya. Its name is derived from a Maasai phrase meaning cool waters. So for those who've been to Nairobi, did you know that Nairobi is the only major city in the world that has a game reserve? Okay, so I'll tell you. It is the only city in the world where traffic gets obstructed by wildlife. That is a true image. Well, I must qualify that this does not happen all the time, though. But these are actually true images. But what fun it would be to find such a display of play on your way to work in the morning or in the evening when you're going back home. Imagine that. We also pride ourselves in having a diverse population that includes major ethnic, racial, and linguistic groups in Africa and around the world. Despite tough times, we're generally a happy population. They say that these make very resilient people, and I was talking about resilience just the other day. Our mobile technology, I may speak about that, is unparalleled in Nairobi, in Africa, and most of you are aware of the groundbreaking technology that we have in fintech, M-Pesa. I'm sure most of you have heard about it. We boast of some of the most beautiful sandy beaches. And of course, this man. Can I point at him? That man is about to break a world record tomorrow. I'm serious. By running a 42-kilometer marathon in less than 2 hours. I invite you to watch him. He's in Vienna as we speak, and he's gonna do it. And wait for it, he's a Kenyan! So I hope I have sold my country very well to you. This is just but a little snippet of where I come from. And I hope to see most of you there soon. So please do welcome to Kenya. You are most welcome. Find me. So my tech journey, I will say, I like those pictures. I tried to grade them to show how I was growing up. My tech journey with hindsight was inspired by my dad, who was a techie in the 70s. He coded using COBOL. Many people will not know it. Is that feedback from my earring? Okay, I'll get it out. For as long as I remember, we had a computer at home. I may not be an IT techie at the moment, but I did have my hand at Visual Basic and Fox Pro. That should explain the generation I come from, so for those who are coders here. But my career path has presented itself with all sorts of bends and forks in the road that I could never have anticipated. I've had the privilege of traveling around the world, and I'm in Finland today, so that should tell you something. But I've also had the misfortune and agony of losing my beloved dad and my elder sister. So all that in one. So while learning to code at a young age, I was also inspired by a television advert. It's a very interesting story. That this advert inspired me to take up architecture. How did that happen? I didn't know it was called architecture, and all I was interested in is creating little houses with my hands. This fairy thought, however, was discouraged, as I was told that this is a course that only boys take up. So true to my strong will then, I said, I'll be the first girl to take up this very difficult course in life, just to prove all of them wrong. So you can imagine, yeah, go ahead. Well, I didn't have to prove anyone wrong, because you can imagine my disappointment when I got to college and I found that there was 5 other girls in my class. The highest number of girls the college had admitted into an architecture class in the year 2000. Well, needless to say, we all graduated top of our class, all the girls, but not all the boys. I just had to say that. And here I stand today as a techie's daughter, dreaming in lights in architecture, to pitching in Silicon Valley, to being named as one among top 40, under 40 most influential women in Kenya. And the most recent one, as Forbes' top 50 women in tech in the world. Folks, you can make up this stuff. You cannot make up this stuff. This is the point where I drop the mic, but I'm not done with my speech yet. So the traditional, I'll tell you a little bit about just my tech journey as well. So the traditional method of cooking in Africa uses 3 stones, for those who understand how a lot of Africans cook. So the 3 stones is an analogy I use to describe my life. The 3 elements that ground me. the three elements that keep me still: God as the center, my family, and self-care. Everything else about me, everything else you've heard, everything else you've read, those are the fire and the wood that light up my life. But the three things that sustain me are God, family, and self-care. So my challenge to you all today is to find your three stones, and everything else will align itself. Our society sees it fit to reward efforts towards innovation through disruption. Today, the competition is keener, the challenge is tougher, and that is why innovation is more important than ever. It is the key to good new jobs in the 21st century. That's how we will ensure a high quality of life for this generation and future generations. Innovation is all around us. It's manifest in miracle drugs, the computer, the ergonomic keyboard, the more fuel-efficient car, and one more innovation I'll introduce to you today, the STRAUSS steamer tile. So this is where I work. This is what I'm known for. At STRAUSS, our contribution towards disruptive innovation and climate change is making reliable and cost-effective power available to all. STRAUSS Energy has a revolutionary 2-in-1 roofing tile that not only powers your home, but it also roofs it. Our vision is to bring this elegant roofing tile to the common citizen that also affords them clean electricity at the cost of basic iron sheets, giving them both a good feel and an opportunity to bridge the energy poverty in Kenya and the region at large, because it's huge. We also aim to raise citizens' living standards by affording them passive income for the rest of their lives by selling power back to the national grid. The question we asked ourselves while doing this was, how can we make money from household utilities as simple as switching on a light? How can we harness this free, God-given resource that shines on us 10 months a year? Oh yeah. We chose to respond to a market need, and while at it, we created a need for better living standards in our country. We essentially envision plugging everyone's roof into the sun, selling electricity to the grid during the day, and harvesting it at night. So, one roof at a time, a basic need back at home and everywhere in the world. In recent years, it has become imperative to find one's niche in remaining relevant in an age where information changes every 5 to 6 months. We are women in tech, we are aware of that. In 1 year, there's a lot that happens. In 6 months, quite a bit. So at STRAUSS Energy, we choose to innovate in affordable, clean energy and climate action, in line with SDG 7 and 13. Climate change is a global issue that impacts all people. However, the effects of climate change will vary significantly for people depending on their geographic, economic, and social conditions. Across societies, women and men will be affected in different ways, with a disproportionate burden on women, accentuated in some contexts due to their socio-political and economic structures that marginalize them. Likewise, these same structures prevent women from actively participating in addressing climate change. Women represent approximately half the population, the world's population, and unleashing our knowledge and abilities together with men's is an imperative. Mario here talked about including men as well. We have to work together. We cannot just be women. We are 50% of the world's population. We don't want to just reach half the potential of the world. We must reach to 100. It is necessary for all of us to craft successful climate change solutions for the benefit of the global community. As a company, we understand the plight that women in our society go through due to lack of electricity. They are subjected to some of the most inhumane positions while cooking or generally working. We have taken time to engage women, understand their needs, and acquire a social license for our mini-grids project in Turkana County. Community participation, community ownership, and community understanding are the three ways we engage with the community to acquire a social license to operate in this county of Turkana, which is one of the most marginalized counties in Kenya. In these rural areas, the challenge lies in assessing the future power demand of people who do not have personal experience with electricity. Can you imagine yourself in the year 2019 never having interacted with electricity? I stand here to tell you there are people back at home who have never had electricity to date. So that's what we are working towards, powering everyone. We have experienced, in addition, a stereotype, and I'm sure this happens here as well. A stereotype that women are not technologists and that they are not capable of building, operating, and maintaining sophisticated technologies, even when overwhelming evidence of the contrary is provided. While women do experience a number of constraints in our involvement with technology, the reality is that our role in technology has been largely overlooked, and it's up to us to take our positions at the table and show the world that we do know what we're talking about. Our ingenious technology innovations, often highly sophisticated, have not been considered as real science. Look at the 3 stones I talked about earlier. Where did the stove that you use currently come from? Where did that concept come from? From the 3 stones. I was a woman, just saying. So second, women are progressively adopting non-traditional work roles in the energy sector as well, due to the rising number of female-headed households globally, and to the increasing access by women to science and technology education. As a crusader for women development, and especially women in tech and STEM, because I am one of them, I dare say that investing in women and girls creates long-term social and economic benefits for all individuals, their communities, and the world as a whole. Women, and you will agree with me, the women who are here, and men too, women are typically nurturers. That's how we are wired. We're naturally wired to incubate, to develop, to grow, and to multiply. We are constantly building something, friendships, careers, relationships, you name it. As women, we are constantly building something. And as a result of that, an empowered woman changes her environment. Again, women are incubators. This goes out to the men, mostly. It's not a bad thing. We are naturally incubators. Whatever is given to us, we take it in, we give it life, we multiply it, and then we hand it back to you. That goes for everything, good or bad. So go figure. In closing, I urge you to reflect on the 3 stones I talked about earlier. I make an appeal to all of us in technology to consider the triple bottom line for good diversity. Maria talked about it as well. Social progress, economic growth, and environmental protection. The question begs, should I be sustainable or competitive? My response to that would be both. Because sustainability is about finding a balance between profitability and impact. And as we speak about impact, we loop in people and the environment. It's a win-win for all. Impacting our future and creating better living environments is being aware that we ought to dominate our surroundings and not compete against each other. We must dream about what is possible in our fields of interest and build networks of people we interact with, learn from, and share with. I call us to disruptive action. Let's turn away from the endless quest to make a living and to work to make a difference. Only then shall we lay the foundation for our future generations to be impacted for the better. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
You're a huge hand. Could you stay with us for a question? Would that be okay?
Sure. Yes.
Wasn't she amazing? Give her a big hand. Thank you, Charity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And you know, Kenya is very much into our hearts here in Finland. You know, a great friend of mine, his name is Lasse Viren. He's a famous long-distance runner. He used to train in Kenya. He had a great technique. He used to run in the mountains until he dropped.
Oh.
With all of his Kenyan friends. It's a great technique. I recommend it to everybody. And in Nairobi, Helsinki was given the right to host the World Championships in athletics. So we have this very close connection in running.
True.
But listen, we got some questions, but please do write questions and comments. And we invite them all. But one question that came in, which is perhaps an obvious one, is, you know, as a leader in Africa, as a female leader in Africa, what challenges have you faced and how did you overcome them?
Wow. As a woman from a very patriarchal society, that's one challenge already, just as I've said it.
Yeah, exactly.
And as a woman, just naturally you have to assert yourself a lot more to be hard. You have to work twice as hard to get half the output. But again, resilience is my key word. I keep talking about resilience because I know where I've come from. And we push through. We push forward, have to find a way to get through. So challenges are many. Challenges of being a woman in Africa, challenges of being a woman in tech, challenges of being in a third world country, several. Socially, economically, emotionally, politically too. So we do have lots of challenges, but we've managed, we walk through them. We walk through them one step at a time. I was just speaking about resilience the other day, and I said we learn to be aware of our surrounding and walk through it.
In Finland, we have a word for this. We can teach you a word. I don't know if you know this word. It's called sisu.
Sisu.
Yes, resilience. Do you have sisu? Yes. Do you have? Yes, resilience.
Great.
Maybe at last minute, for the last minute, we have it for questions.
Sure.
We don't have any more, but I'd like to ask you, you know, words of advice for all of our leaders in tech today. Word of advice for today. What should we do today?
Oh, let's work with what we have and let's see what the future holds for us. Let's work towards creating a better place for the person who's being born today. And it's not about, as I said, not working for a living, but working to make a difference in somebody's life. Money will always be there, but how you make somebody feel, how you touch their hearts, that is what lasts.
Charity Wanjiku, ladies and gentlemen!
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Wow.